Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. Before you listen to this episode, go over to Instagram and please follow us at Carissa and Jason, and then hop straight over to YouTube and subscribe to us at Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. We appreciate your support and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. We're happy that you've joined us today. We have lots to cover today.
Lots to cover.
And, for those of you just listening for the first time, we just want to remind you that this podcast is really just a look into our lives and how we are able to live the best lives that we've been given. And we're going to try and share our secrets and our lifestyle with you guys. And hopefully it makes a difference so that you too can live the best life that you've been given.
Is that not the best infomercial you've ever heard? Come on.
Carissa, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Nice.
I'm happy to be here in the town of Ajax.
Yes.
What a lovely town. I love it so much.
I don't know why, but you have this sarcastic look on your face
right now.
It's
extremely sarcastic. Yeah. Can't wait to be back. Just kidding. Happy to be here. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. It was, it was good. My weekend started Friday. Woke up and was blessed with some messages, and it started off my weekend amazing. And we talked about this over the weekend a little bit, but I did some reflection and looked at things a little differently. And one of those things was kind of like, I don't know why, but I woke up in this. First of all, before I went to bed, I had a conversation with G, with the big man upstairs. Okay. And I asked him to show me some stuff and answer some questions for me. And when I woke up, the answer to the prayer was, Jason, reflect back on what got you here. Reflect back on what started it. And I started to do that, and then I called you, and I was freaking out, and you remember how that went.
Full freak out mode.
Yeah. So
I have a quick question for you before you bring up the topic of conversation. So when you say that you have a conversation with G, the man upstairs, so what does a conversation look like? Because I feel like people would be wondering, like, what does that mean? You have a conversation.
Yeah, that's fair. I never thought of it that way. So for me personally, a conversation with him is literally just, this particular conversation was just me lying in my bed. I was just going to bed like I always do, and every night, I just lie in my bed and I just have a conversation with him, like how you and I are having a conversation right now.
So do you do it out loud?
Not in bed.
Okay.
Because Lindsay's usually sleeping beside me,
okay,
so I don't want to alarm her.
You don't want to look crazy? Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, so she usually goes to bed before me, so it's literally just a conversation. What I do first is I thank him for that particular day. Whatever happened in that day, good, bad, or indifferent, I thank him and let him know I appreciate it. Even if it's perceived to be bad, I still thank him for that because I know that there's good in it. And then I get into who I want to pray for.
Yeah.
So every day there's somebody else that I want to pray for because there's so many people going through so many different things. And then I get into what I would like to accomplish the following day, if it's what he wants me to accomplish. So because I want to accomplish it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to accomplish it.
Yeah.
I make sure that I let him know that if this is what you want me to do, help me do this.
Okay.
And if it's not what I'm supposed to do, then tell me what it is that I'm supposed to do. And then let's roll. And let's boogie. And then I go to bed.
Let's go.
Yeah. That's how it is.
It sounds like the recipe for a great sleep.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? Actually, you mentioned that. So you can ask my wife. I've always had my wife every morning asks me, "Did you sleep?" And recently, I said to myself, "Why did she keep asking me?" And I remembered that I never used to sleep before. I would literally wake up 14 times a day. Some people will call it sleep apnea. I know people are on CPAC and this and that to fall asleep. Since I haven't always prayed or had a conversation with God before I went to bed. It's been more of a recent thing, I guess. And when I say recent, I mean like maybe in the last 8 months-ish or so,
Okay.
I've always done my conversations during the day.
Yeah.
And I've never done it at night. And now that I'm thinking about it, because it didn't cross my mind until you...
You're sleeping.
I'm sleeping.
Okay.
I sleep right through the night.
Wow.
And I never really put anything to that. Oh, hey, man. Yo.
Look at that.
This just happened on air just now. Yo.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
That's some real stuff.
Okay.
That's real talk.
That's real talk right there. That was real talk. Yo, I got like goosebumps going through me right now. All right, focus.
Okay, focus. Okay. Listen, what's the topic you want to discuss today?
So, what I wanted to talk about, and I want to get your feedback on it as well. But what I want to touch on is, what I had to work on first. So, a lot of people, before they get to where they need to get to, and at the end of the day, where they need to get to is a relationship with God. Whether you want to hear that or not, it is what it is. Okay. But some people before you get there, they need to work on something else first. So there's a lot of people that will use their faith to get them to where they need to be mentally, emotionally, physically. I think for me, I had to work on me first.
Okay.
Before I went to God.
Okay.
And so how that started was changing the way I thought,
Okay.
and changing the way that I saw the world, changing the way that I saw myself, and changing my mentality in terms of blaming others for everything. I was always looking for other reasons why I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do and get what I wanted to get and feel the way I wanted to feel. It was never me. It was always something else or always somebody else. I played victim. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I was the king of playing victim.
Okay.
And my parents used to always tell me all the time, Jason, you make excuses for everything. And in my mind, I'm like, but they are legitimate excuses.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I'm going through this process where I'm like, damn, no, they're just excuses. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about working on ourselves emotionally and mentally first.
Okay. That's a deep topic.
Yeah, I can be, but I'm not a doctor in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
I have high school diploma.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, barely. I'm barely at that. I think I told you already. I failed religion. It almost held me back.
Look at that.
Yeah, so ironic, eh?
Yeah.
So, anything that I'm talking about, this is not professional opinions or advice or
We're
whatever.
not licensed therapists.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Not in the slightest.
Yeah. This is just my journey. This was my personal journey that I went through that got me to where I needed to go to and how I changed my mindset.
Yeah.
So basically, it started with cutting baggage. Okay, so everybody has baggage.
Yeah.
And everybody's baggage looks different. And we'll call it luggage. Let's call it luggage in this conversation.
All right.
Yeah, everyone has luggage.
Okay.
And you know how that is. The more stuff you have in your luggage, the heavier it gets.
And luggage sounds like a more annoying word.
Right?
Luggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm sure it's some sort of a Greek past word that for lug, and they turned it into luggage. Anyway. So I had to tap into my luggage, and I had to really address what that looked like and what that felt like. Because when I was hanging on to that, it was literally the source of my excuses for everything.
Okay.
And then I got to a point where I decided that no matter what, I was going to take full responsibility for every single thing that happened in my life, around my life, and to my life.
Okay, so what made you just boom, now this is the decision. I'm Jason that makes excuses for everything to now I'm taking full responsibility. That just sounds like you got your ass beat real hard and you needed to make a big change.
Yeah, because, I think I got to a place, I'm not going to call it rock bottom because I've seen way worse than where I was, but I got to a place that's very difficult for a young a young adult, late teenager to be in. Like, I was in situations that, when you have parents that love you, like I did, I still put myself in positions of stress, high stress, okay. Super high stress, okay. Where I had to grow up real fast.
Yeah.
Right. So, in our last episode, we talked about a book that I read, The Secret. And in this book, it talked about, good in, good out, bad in, bad out, laws of attraction. And what I got out of this book, the main thing that I got out of this book was that every situation that you're in, there's a positive in it. Any negative situation, there's a positive. Any positive situation, there's an even more positive that can come out of it. And I really had to tap into and make it a lifestyle change to say that there's no more negative situations.
Okay.
Nothing that can happen to me will be negative. It's not possible, because I chose to focus only on the positive. I looked for the positive, and that's where my focus stood.
Okay.
When I started to do that, everything started to change. Everything. Can you think of a moment in your life where it was a negative situation, but you made it into a positive situation and seen the outcome of it?
I feel like, I don't know if I would use the word positive, but what I would say is, for me on my journey, the negative situations, I guess positive is the word. It's like it no longer became negative because you knew that like you're going to get through it. So like I think my issue was with my negative situations that came, the drama queen that I am, I was like, this is the end of the world. And then,
ladies and gentlemen, let me just let you know now, like, she's not exaggerating when she says drama queen.
Okay. I admitted it myself. You didn't need to say it, but whatever. We get personally attacked on the show, apparently. Okay. Me being the drama queen that I am, bad stuff would happen, and it like really felt like the end of the world for me. For example, there was times where I got like super sick. Even so, like recently, like my dog died, right? And that to me was like such a difficult situation to deal with. But, how I looked at it, it's as bad as it, I don't know, this doesn't sound bad. How I looked at it was, okay, I'm getting through this because I know God's going to get me through this. So that's number one. Like right off the bat, I didn't think I'm not going to get through this. Like my life is going to be ruined. And then number two, I was able to actually find the positive in the situation. It didn't make the negative go away. It didn't make it hurt less, but it helped me to understand more. So for example, like I'm moving out of that house soon. And with me gone from that house, that dog might have actually been neglected because there wouldn't be enough people to take care of that dog if I was not there. So I looked at the positives, like, okay, so my dog left within his time, Mm-hmm. So I do agree with you but I think what people might think in their head when you say positive and negative is somehow like, this is a horrible situation and now I'm over the moon happy.
Fair enough.
Because that's not really what happens, yes. But it's more so that I feel like you have like a peace. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Actually, what you just did for me just now was you made me very aware of something. I just had a very difficult conversation with a friend over the weekend, and it is not an ideal situation, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, and I just kind of flipped it to be like, hey, we're going to use this as an opportunity, and I can tell by the look on his face that he was like, are you shitting me right now?
Okay.
I just told you this, and you're telling me that we're going to turn this into a positive. And because I live in the world that I live in, I firmly believe that, some good is going to come out of it, but not realizing how he's going to take that.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm going to have to revisit that conversation with him. So thank you for that.
Well, the truth is some good will come out of it, but when you're dealing with your emotions in that moment, it's hard to see that, or it's hard 100%. To focus on that good in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I see that. I get exactly what you're saying. So basically, what was happening was I was suppressing, deep feelings that I had inside me.
Okay.
And by suppressing these feelings, I was never dealing with them. And because I was never dealing with them, I thought, I'm a bad man, so it's just going to go away. It doesn't work that way.
Life doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. So when I started to really look into those feelings a little bit and those situations that I was in, and instead of being mad and upset about it and attacking about it, I figured out very quickly by looking at what I got positive out of all of those situations, that at the end of the day, I wouldn't have traded it for the world.
Yeah.
But it was that sort of thinking that became a lifestyle of mine that I was able to ride out, where today I can take any situation and find positive in it and turn it into, something magnificent if I have to. I have that ability to do that now because I just made it my lifestyle.
So within this time that it's become your lifestyle, have you actually faced like a super negative situation, not just like, I'm talking like real stuff, that you've been able to take that and apply it? Because I feel like with certain negative situations, like, you didn't get this house, or maybe you didn't get this job, whatever is like, it's easy. But then like the real stuff, like death, like whatever, like the real hard-hitting stuff, were you able to apply what you're saying now to that?
Yeah, I have, for sure. I mean, I don't know any human being that doesn't go through bad stuff at any given time. And I mean, yes, we've had, family members pass on where, that's never easy, but, I choose to look at it differently. That's just my mentality. I can't even think of other situations because I'm in that, because I live it every day.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you what was so bad that I turned it into a positive, because I automatically turn negative into positive. But aside from that, I don't even want to dwell on that too much. I'm just trying to show to, the first step is to change negative into positive.
Lose the luggage.
Lose the luggage.
Lose it, baby. Lose it. Get rid of it. Toss it in the trash. We need to get rid of it.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And that's the beginning of that was the beginning of my journey anyway.
See, what I found when it came to, I like your point, like, of losing the luggage. What I found for me for that was more so stop caring about like what other people think. To me, I think my luggage was a lot about how other people perceive my life, and then I'm going to live my life based off of how their perception is that I should. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, rather than changing negative to positive and stuff like that, it was very much so losing what I thought other people think of me. And I think still, I think I carry maybe like a little carry-on of it now. But I think I had like 4 like huge luggages of it before. Like, I'm going on an international trip for a
wheels,
year.
No wheels.
Just a heavy old fabric luggage. I had probably like 4 of those. And now I think I've got like a little carry-on. Anyways, so we lose the luggage. What's next in the journey?
Next in the journey is when you are able to change that mindset from negative to positive, and make it a lifestyle, you have now put yourself in a position to start working on you physically as well.
Oh, okay. He's coming to read everybody today. I was not expecting this. Woo. Okay.
Yeah.
We get some water. Yeah. Lord.
So, when your mind is cleaner or cleaned up, or when you can have control over your mind, now you control your physical. Like, again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't have stats to throw at you or nothing like that. But I can tell you without a doubt in my mind that when you are in a bad place mentally, you bring on physical illness on yourself.
Oh, I know that. Yep.
Right?
Okay.
So a lot of people say, you know, well, I have this disease, it's hereditary. I got it from my parents. I got it from my grandparents, this, that, and the other. And yeah, there is an element of that to it. Let's not be naive here.
Yeah.
But I do know that when you are in a bad place emotionally and mentally, you bring out sicknesses in your body. Everybody has cancer cells. Everybody has cells in their body that get them sick and get them, you know, to bad places. But what brings it on is the stress on your physical body. And the stress on your physical body comes from your mental.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
So I believe that changing your mental attitude helps you mentally and emotionally, and then changes your physical. Now, if you can see that with an open mind and understand it and believe it, now you've put yourself in a position to move around, generating positive energy now, because now you've worked on yourself. Now what you're able to do without you even knowing it now is cast out positive energy to other people around you. So here's what I noticed happening. After I finished getting through this point now and understanding this, what I realized is that people started to become a lot more attracted to me. And I'm not talking about they want to jump my bones or nothing like that. I'm just talking about people, strangers would walk by and literally just look at me and just smile, say hi or whatever, but it wasn't fake. A lot of times it's fake. We know it's out there. People, hi, and then they're like, you know, you bitch or whatever it is, right? Like that's regular things. There was a sense of warmth and sincerity when people walked by. My energy was pulling their energy in a positive way, and they felt it. They probably don't even realize what was going on, but I know what was going on because I felt it.
Yeah. So
I started to just push out a lot of positiveness. And even when I'm speaking to people, immediately I found that people started to resonate with what I was saying, even if what I was saying was foolishness, even if what I was saying was silly or stupid, or even if I'm chirping people. You know me, I like to chirp people, and that's my entertainment.
Yeah.
People didn't take it in a negative way. They took it in a positive way, and that it was just entertainment. It was humorous, whatever it is. So I just started to notice there's a lot of stuff around me changing for the positive. And then I just started noticing things going my way. You know, this is going to sound so silly, but here's an example of it is I can go down a stretch of road that is like 30 blocks.
Yeah.
And there's 18 stoplights there.
And you'll get green
every time, man. Every time. You know, and as I'm driving, the light's red, and as I get closer, green. I don't even got to put my foot on the brake, and I'm just going through. And that's a small example of a lot of different things that were happening for me all the time.
I'm just picturing, like, can you imagine on like a flyer for church? If you give your life to Jesus, you'll get green lights your whole life. Can you sign me up? How much does it cost? My bank account? Take it.
Exactly. And here's the thing about that is that. That's kind of how they talk in the church. But unless you have that relationship with God, you're going to be like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're telling me right now? Like, no, that doesn't even make any sense. That's not possible. So now I can't buy into it. Is going to be the mentality of people who don't know. Yeah. If you don't know what you don't know, right? So, no, I can tell you that, like, I would go up at that moment and testify.
I got green lights! Jesus!
Right? So, no, that's very true. And that's why, Carissa, you know, we talked about this. That's why we wanted this platform, because this is an extension of what they do in church or whatnot, but it's not churchy.
Yeah.
We're talking real life stuff.
We're talking real talk.
Real talk here. We're talking stuff that happens all the time.
Do you know how many sicknesses I have manifested in my own life? Because I was literally like, exactly what you're saying. Like, my mind wasn't healthy, so my body wasn't healthy. Like, that could be a whole podcast. But let me share one that was just, let me share this one.
Yes, please.
I thought I had breast cancer, okay? So this is where my drama goes, okay? Breast cancer, as many people know, it's very much genetic, right? Nobody in my family has it. Thank God. But I started getting this pain in my armpit. So for people that don't know, like they always tell women, like watch out for like your breasts and your armpit, right? Because those are areas you want to make sure are okay, right? I had this pain in my armpit for like 6 months, okay? And I was like, it started to get worse and worse. And you know, you get exams and whatever, and it's like, no, it's all good, right? But then I'm like, okay, this pain isn't going away. And I would literally feel it. Like at one point I couldn't lift up my arm. So I went to the doctor and she's like, all right, so we're going to order like an ultrasound for you. I'm like, all right, cool. So I get the ultrasound done. They want to see maybe there's a tear, maybe there's a bump, something. I get the ultrasound done. She's like, yeah, there's absolutely nothing here. And I was just like, okay. And then she's like doing it again. And she's just like, I believe you. And I was like, wait, did you think I was faking this? She's like, I believe you, but there's nothing here. And I'm like, okay. She goes, but we'll send it to your doctor. The doctor's like, yeah, there's nothing here. And then, you know, I wait again and the pain's still not going away. So they send me for a second one where they're going to do it more thoroughly. And they're like, yeah, there is nothing here. And I'm like, I'm not making up this pain. I don't understand. So after I get that done, and I'm telling you, like, it was like a real pain. Like sometimes I couldn't I couldn't lift up my arm. After I get that second one done, they're like, yeah, there's nothing here. Tell me why it completely went away. I no longer had that pain anymore. And I was like, did I really just make this all up in my dang head? I literally did that. And that's happened to me multiple times. That's not the first time where I literally, you know, there's the whole point of your body being healthy, right? Like, you know, eating well and exercising and stuff. But if your mind is not in the right place, you could literally create sicknesses for yourself. I've done it. So it's just crazy that you bring it up. So I felt like you were just reading my whole life because I don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. But I used to. And it would happen frequently. Mm-hmm. It happened with my armpit. It happened with like a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
But not anymore.
I'm done with it.
Man, that's what's up. I'll actually give you another version of that real quick. So my brother, Omar, a.k.a. my angel, passed away at a very young age. Mm-hmm. He passed away from a virus, which is, you know, so when we're talking about like Corona and all that stuff that's going on right now, I have a very different opinion than most people about this because I've been involved in it. My little brother passed of a virus, a flu-like virus, that it just didn't agree with his body. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. And he went. And when that happened, as sad as I was, I immediately went to, well, okay, I already know God needed him for a much bigger purpose than what he's going to do down here, because I honestly believed he was going to change the world down here. I firmly believe that. Yeah. I didn't know another kid like this kid. So when he passed of this virus, very shortly after that, when I say shortly, I'm talking like maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks after the funeral, I was at home and I had this illness come over me. I'm in the fetal position on the floor with this virus, with whatever it is that came over me. I had manifested that same thing on myself and gave it to myself. I had to call an ambulance. Like I don't go to the doctor. Like I don't go to the doctor unless I'm dying. Yeah. But I didn't call an ambulance. I drove to my parents' house. Dizzy, discombobulated, and I was crying at the time too because I literally thought I was going to die because I'd never felt like that in my entire life. Yeah. Go to my parents' house, freak them out. My dad gets in the car with me, drives me to the hospital. We're in the hospital. I'm in the hospital for half the day for the doctor to tell me there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. They run tests, they did this, they did that, nothing wrong with me. Then all of a sudden, I'm just like, okay, I feel better now. Like, just like that. Yep. Right? Yep. So my mental at the time put me in a bad place where I created this sickness within my body, just like what you're talking about right now. Yeah. So it's a for real thing.
Yeah. Do you know how many people go to the emergency room thinking they're dying or having a heart attack, but it's literally just a panic attack? Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. And it's because of luggage.
Luggage. Lose the luggage.
Something happened, and luggage, it sticks with you, and that's what drags you down. So my advice, figure out what that luggage is. Before you start doing anything, figure out what that luggage is and face that luggage face on, head on. You can't escape it. You'll never escape it. Don't think you're strong enough where you're going to suppress it and you're going to bury it deep and you'll never have to worry about it again. That's false.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is all you're doing is prolonging the opportunity for you to live life. You're prolonging everything, because at some point, hopefully, you're going to get to that point where you realize that that's what was holding you back, and you're going to be like, damn, I wish I had done something about that earlier. Mm-hmm. There's no shame in addressing whatever pain you have inside of you for whatever caused that pain, which is creating this luggage. There's no shame in addressing that and attacking that. And I suggest and I recommend that everybody do that. Everybody has it. Figure out what it is, and as soon as you're able to do that, you're on your path for living your best life.
Well, most of the time when you lose your luggage, like in the airport, it's a bad thing. But this,
no, you want to lose your luggage. You want to lose it. No, the insurance policy on this luggage is fantastic.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, fantastic. So, okay, so, how do you do that? How do you change negative to positive? Because it's easier said than done. Okay, yeah. I get that. Here's what us as human beings tend to do on a regular basis. We love to be in the space of questioning ourselves and fear and I can't and this won't let me and I can't because. This is the space that we tend to want to be in all of the time. I don't know why. I can't figure that out. But even friends and family, people I just meet, and when we're having random conversations, that seems to be a theme. People tend to make fun of people who say that you're too cocky, or you're too confident, or you're too this, or you're too that. Okay, maybe, but guess what? They're getting the most out of their life by doing that as well.
Yeah.
There are some negative repercussions for being too cocky. There's always a line. There's a line for everything. Too much of something is bad. Too little of something is probably just as bad. But I think this constant space of fear and I can't is what controls people the most. And I think people concentrate more on what they can't do and what they don't have than what they can do and what they do have. And right? So I think if we are able to program ourselves to forget about what the Joneses are doing and worrying about what the Uses are doing, life will be a lot easier. The Joneses have this, that, and the other, but the Joneses are miserable as hell.
Yeah.
But you don't know that.
Yeah.
The Joneses have this, that, and the other, and they're posting on IG and LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok, and you're seeing what they want you to see. But you don't see how freaking miserable they are when they have that stuff.
Yeah.
And because you spend so much time worrying about what they have and what you don't have, you're getting sucked into that vortex.
Yeah.
We need to be able to be comfortable in what we have and what we want to achieve and what we want to focus, but doing it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Right? I think that is probably the biggest culprit for self-esteem that we have in today's climate right now.
I would have to agree with you. I think I agree. Because we think that, especially for the younger generation, that it's only the older generation that's trying to keep up with the Joneses, because you're the generation that owns houses and families and stuff like that. And you would think as a young person, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not in that lifestyle yet, so I'm not there. But I think for the younger generation, it's even more so like that than ever because of what we see. For example, Kylie Jenner, right? Maybe one of the most famous people on earth. She paid for her body, right? And there's so many girls that want to look like her. And even at one point, I'm like, wow, she has a really nice body. But then someone brought up to me a point once where, imagine how much you have to hate yourself to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to look completely unlike yourself. And I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. You just look at someone like, wow, look at all the money they have. Look at the lifestyle they live. Look how beautiful they are. But it's like, imagine that you have to buy so much and do so much and rearrange and manipulate so much because you're so unhappy with what you have.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know she bought her body. I didn't even know that. I know who she is, but I don't know a whole lot about her.
Oh, bro. Bro, like head to toe purchased.
Okay.
There's not like a single thing that's natural anymore, but people think she's beautiful. And some people, whatever, don't care about plastic surgery. That's besides the point. It's just, there's nothing wrong with plastic surgery, but just imagine like you literally turn yourself into a completely different person. Head to toe, she looks completely different.
But do you change yourself into a different person, or do you just change the shell? You know, you're still you're not doing surgery on your mind and on your emotions. You're doing surgery on your outside. So
I agree with you. I feel like there's like a fine line though, because what if you changed the way you look completely? Are you telling me that Michael Jackson was sane?
No.
Okay, he completely his complete look. It wasn't just like he got like one nose job. Like he like everything, like even his hair, everything was completely changed. There's something going on there. There's some kind of body dysmorphia. There's something where you're just so unhappy with yourself that everything needs to change. I'm saying I understand everybody has insecurities, right? If I were to go get plastic surgery, done deal. Boob job first, nose job second. Let's go. Yeah. But I'm talking about head to toe. You need to fully, completely change yourself. There's got to be something mental going on.
Yeah, well, and it just goes right back to, you know, the beginning of this conversation is that she didn't. I'm not going to say she didn't. I don't know this girl from anywhere.
We don't know her. She could be very happy with herself for all we know.
But for somebody to be in a frame of mind like that, unless you've worked on the mental, emotional part, the physical part, you can do whatever you want to the physical part, but you're still the same person. Mm-hmm. You still have those insecurities. You still feel the same way. I don't see how that's possible outside of that. I really don't. I just don't see how it's possible. But whatever. To each his own.
But that reels it back into your point where it's like the first thing you have to do is work on the mind.
Yeah. So, you know, so focusing on what you have instead of what you don't have is an evolution, is a part of the evolution of transformation.
Yeah.
And then if you can start to do that, then you're setting yourself up for even greater success. I guess what I would say is, you know, if you're struggling and you're not where you want to be mentally and emotionally, and you haven't been for a while, I'm going to challenge you to be like, well, okay, what have you been doing that whole time to try to change that? And if I've been doing this, and I've been going to the gym, and I've been eating, and I've been
grinding, I've been hustling,
whatever.
I've been doing this.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's not changing. Okay, then maybe you need to add something else to your repertoire.
Okay.
Maybe you need to bring something else into the fold to help you do it, because you can't do it alone. Right? This is where the relationship with God comes into it now. Mm-hmm. This is where you can't do it alone. You need help. If you could do it alone, you would have done it already. But if you haven't done it already, it's because you can't. And it's okay, because none of us can. Newsflash, me included.
Yeah.
I cannot do it alone.
Yeah.
This is where building that relationship now comes into play. And this is where you ask. This is where you have the conversations. This is where you show your faith. This is where you show your love. This is where you show your appreciation. And then God helps you with what it is that you need help with. It might be just giving you strength to see it for yourself. It might be giving you courage to not care what other people think and say, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
I was in that frame of mind for a very short period of time, and I realized very quickly that caring what people thought only made me worse, because I wasn't living for me, I was living for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And at the end of the day, living for them isn't going to help me, because when I need them, they're not going to be there anyway. So I need to do it for myself first and foremost. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to suggest is, have you heard of the placebo effect?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like that would work on me back then.
Right.
When I was, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
When I was making things up in my head completely. Yes. I'm sorry. Can I digress with the story quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not exactly placebo, but it's almost like that. Okay. I feel like perfect case of insanity. So I go out one night, right? And I wake up the next morning and I take the covers off and I see on my foot, there's this giant rash and it's only on my one foot. And I'm like, what is this rash? And I'm looking at it, I'm touching it, I'm like smelling it. I'm like, this rash doesn't make sense. I've never seen anything like this before because it looked like it was all underneath my skin, just red dots. Nothing was raised, nothing was itchy, just looked like all these red dots underneath my skin. I was like, well, I must be dying. So I go on Google and I'm trying to look for, because I've never seen a rash like this on my body, right? And I've gotten rashes from sunburns and this and that. So I'm on Google, which is number one, the biggest mistake I did. 100%. Never do it. So I go on Google and I'm trying to figure out what this rash is. And I'm looking at different pictures. And the only thing that this looks similar to is a sign that you have leukemia. Okay? I was like, I started to sweat.
Oh, yeah.
I started to call my mom. I was like, when are you coming home? I need you to look at my rash. Like, something's wrong with me. Jeez. Okay? Because I'm serious. I never saw a rash like that. And I guaranteed, I was like, oh my God, what is this? So literally I had a moment where my mom came home and I was like, can you look at my rash? Like, I'm dying. And she looks at my rash and she's just touching it. She goes, it's just a rash, like, relax. And I'm just like, no, I've never seen a rash like this before. I don't know where it came from. It popped up overnight, whatever. And then she just starts like rubbing it with her hand. And then she does like the mom thing, you know, where they like lick their thumb.
Yeah.
So she like licks her thumb and then rubs my foot and the rash comes off. And she's just looking at it. She's like, this is juice. And I was like, she's like, where were you last night? And I was like, I went to a club. And she's like, so do you think someone spilled some juice on you? And I was like, oh my God.
Well, first of all, like, you're at a club, it's not juice, it's alcohol.
It's alcohol. No, but it was red. It was red, so it was like cranberry juice or something. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what do you mean it's coming off? I go to the bathroom and I put water on it and the rash magically disappears because it's juice. Yeah. And when I tell you, I literally started tearing up because I thought I was dying. Yeah. That's not the placebo effect, but it's the reverse placebo effect. Yeah. So, but very on topic today for pretty much insanity.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. You know, and you know, anybody listening might be like, okay, well, you know, that would never happen with me. I wouldn't look at a rash and be like, it's a rash. I wouldn't look at something and think it's a rash and it'd be juice. No, but I guarantee you that there are other things in your life that you think are much worse than they actually are.
Yeah, it's true.
Guaranteed. Yeah. We all do it. You know, a frequent conversation I have with friends alike is, you know, they'll be like, well, what if this and what if that? What if this? What if that? Yeah, but what if none of that?
Yeah. What if it's juice?
What if it's juice? Beautiful. What if it's juice? Exactly. And you know what? 9 out of 10 times it's juice. 9 out of 10 times. But now you have given yourself anxiety for 2 months, 1 month, 6 months, a year, thinking the worst.
Yep.
And it's juice.
Yep.
If this hasn't happened to you in your lifetime, then you're not human.
True.
Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So this is part of the problem, and we all have to be able to think positively first. Go with positive first, always. And you will start to notice these changes in your life in small increments. You know who we can learn a lot from?
Who?
Children.
Uh-huh.
I think adults can take a lot from kids.
Yep.
Okay? Here's the thing. You know, in order to get to your emotions, in order to get to that nucleus that's eating you up, that's putting you in a bad place, that makes you think negative all the time, you need to get there. You need to figure out what that is. Now, here's the difference between adults and children. Is that as an adult, we feel like we can control what we let out, when we let it out, how much of it we let out. And as a kid, they don't think about that. If they're sad, they cry.
They're just sad, yeah.
If they're happy, they laugh. If they're scared, they
Hide
they
behind,
run to
yeah.
you for support, and they let you know. When did we transition from that period of expressing our emotions as soon as we felt them to hiding and suppressing and burying it? Whenever that moment happened is when your problems started happening.
I would probably say like 8 or 9 years old, to be real.
100%. 100%. Maybe even a little older, you know, for some kids, right?
Yeah.
But if we can get back into that state of mind where when you're happy, you're able to express it without embarrassment. When you're sad, you're able to cry. When you're scared, you're able to be consoled by somebody who you trust without judgment. All of those emotions that we feel, you know, frustration, when we're able to release those as they happen, that's therapy.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Hello.
And not only is it free, it's invigorating. And you are able to move on with your life a lot faster.
Yeah.
You're able to receive positive. You're able to process positive a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we need to start working on again. I think we need to get to that, you know? And in a way, it's kind of not our fault, as it is, but it's not, depending on the household you grew up in. But I think old school, I think parenting now is a little different. You know, every generation of parenting has its goods and it has its flaws, right? In my generation of growing up, it wasn't just me. This was anybody who I know. If I talk to anybody 43, 40 plus, they're in the same boat as me, where, you know, when as a kid, when I'm crying, it's shut up.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm happy and I'm carrying on, it's sit down and relax.
Yeah.
You know, if it's scared, like, what are you scared about? Don't be a wimp. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I grew up. And not that I can't say that affected me the way that I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure it affects a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Right? It affects everybody differently.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving an example of what I think, you know, got you to get people to where they are, where they hide these emotions. And when they hide these emotions, they just create negative environments around them growing up, and they have to shake that. So that's just my opinion on how I see everything unfolding. And I think once we can tackle that and once we can understand that, is a lot faster recovery time, where you're not prolonging it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't believe that half the people that are in therapy sessions need therapy sessions. And this is not a diss to professionals out there in any way, shape, or form, because those professionals can actually explain it 10 times better than I can.
Probably. You should maybe listen to them instead of us.
Yeah. 1,000 times better than I can, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just feel that sometimes the answer is so simple, but we overcomplicate it.
That's very true. We definitely overcomplicate things.
Right?
Because even when you're saying children, I think of, you know, how God tells us, you're talking about relationship with God and stuff, go to God as a child. So like, what does that mean, right? It's exactly like, put yourself in the space of a child. Like, when you're scared, that's where you can turn to. Where you're upset, that's where you can turn to. It's not just like this big figurine, but like a parent, right? And then with the child comes the cool things too, right? Like the curiosity and the fun, right? That doesn't need to be taken out of life. I feel like if we literally act more like children in the best way possible, in the best way possible, you know, still pay your bills, but act like children in that sense, I feel like life is a lot better.
So in saying this, like, here's another thing too, like, you know, I'll speak personally again. I am a fan of staying away from pharmaceutical pills.
Okay. Well, you were talking about the placebo. Does that have to do with this?
Does it have to do with what?
The placebo, like what you were going to mention before about the placebo effect.
Well, placebo effect is where you have the ability to manifest something to actually happen. So it doesn't have to do with the pills. I actually forgot I brought up placebo effect.
Okay. Did you have a point you wanted to make with it?
So the point about placebo effect was that think about what you want.
Yeah.
Think about where you want to be. Think about the type of person who you want to be. And if you focus on who you want to be and what you want to do, you can create that and make that happen. And if you cannot do it on your own, your relationship with God will definitely bring you a lot closer to that way faster as well.
That's true.
So that's the placebo effect. That's what worked for me. So the definition of the placebo effect, and I changed the way I say that. I was going to say the placebo effect changed my life, but no, the definition of the placebo effect changed my life when I started to just focus on what I wanted to do and what I wanted, and it started to happen. And then I would use my relationship with God to get me over those hurdles and mental challenges that I was giving myself, those I can't. It was, God, give me the strength to, give me the sight to, put the people around me to help me to. That was me changing my direction, changing my destiny, changing everything about my life. And that theory of the placebo effect was the beginning of great things.
Boom.
Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Right. Okay, so anyways, back on pharmaceuticals.
So just very quickly, listen, I'm not going to get into this because I'm going to get deep into this part of it because I don't know a lot about it. But what I do know is that as much as these pharmaceutical products have a place to help us in our health, I believe that while it's doing it, it's suppressing other things. So it might help you with this one thing, but it is destroying you in another way. Okay. And then that other way that it destroys you, then you need another pharmaceutical product to take care of that. And it's a chain reaction. I've actually, with the exception of people that have real like mental health issues, I'm talking like when I say real,
I understand what you mean, but I feel like the people that are maybe depressed might say that it's real, but I get what you mean.
Listen, this is real talk, but they're like, and I'm not perfect in how I say things.
But they're like, they're living with like an imaginary person, like stuff like that, you mean?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. For people that it's very difficult for them to function in society. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. I do believe that there are products out there that help them and keep them on track, if you will. But I'm talking about the yous and the me's out there that we are in our own way.
Yeah. We're just popping Prozac.
That's it. Just to get through the day type thing. Or popping Tylenol because, you feel a little tiny bit of a headache coming on. Yeah. That's who I'm talking about when I say you don't need the pills. You just need to work on yourself. You work on yourself and you believe in yourself and you have faith in yourself and you have faith in God that's going to help you work on all the other stuff that we just talked about. You won't need these pills. And a perfect example of it is somebody who's very close to me, who when we met was popping Tylenols and popping Advils every which way. And I, sat them down and I'm like, look, just do me a favor. Just don't do this for a minute. Just stop doing that for a minute and let's do other stuff. Yeah. And it's funny because this person now will not take another Tylenol, will not take another Advil. Wow. And it's not because of medical advice that I gave them. I said, just try something different. Yeah. What you've been doing is not working. Try something different. Definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again. And they tried another approach and it helped. And by not taking those products, they were able to get to the root of what their issue was, where they worked on that. And then I saw the transformation from A to Z. And they're still working on themselves. I'm still working on myself. I'm sure you're still working on yourself.
No, I'm totally perfect. Just kidding. Working on myself every day.
Yeah, this is going to be every day till I die. I'm going to be working on myself. But what we're trying to talk about is how to get out of that funk right now. How to get out of that rabbit hole that we all find ourselves in at some point or another. Yeah. And it starts with understanding your emotions. And it starts with tackling that, recognizing it, addressing it, fixing it. looking at the next step, doing the same thing. And if you just put your head down and keep doing that, you're going to notice in a year, less than a year, 2 years, whatever it is, you're going to see your life is completely different.
That is some real talk. Can we get like a snap from the crowd? And amen. That was awesome. Thank you guys for joining in this week. I need to go sit down and have a cold glass of water because I really like Advil, bro. So I'm going to have some issues with this. But listen, guys, remember, what if it's just juice? Hopefully you could take away something from this episode, and we love you and we appreciate you for listening. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. We really appreciate your support. If you made it this far, that means you must really love us. So we should all go out for dinner on Jason, okay? But before that, we really need you to follow us on Instagram at Carissa and Jason, and then go over to YouTube and subscribe to us at Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. Thanks, guys.